Welcome! Today we're going to make a delicious creamy risotto packed with earthy mushroom flavors. Throughout this process, I'll guide you step by step, giving you all the tips and tricks you need for a perfect dish. Whether you're new to making risotto or just looking to improve your technique, you'll finish with a rich and comforting meal. Ready to get started? Let's dive in! Alright, let's get started with our mushroom risotto. First, you'll need 2 cups of arborio rice. This is a short grain rice that gives risotto its signature creamy texture. Next, grab 1 pound of mushrooms. You can use cremini, shiitake, or a mix for added flavor. We'll also need 4 cups of warm vegetable or chicken broth. This will help the rice absorb flavor as we cook. For some added depth, we'll use 1 cup of dry white wine, though that's optional. Now chop up 1 medium onion and mince 3 garlic cloves. These will give our risotto a delicious base. You'll also need 3 tablespoons of olive oil or butter for sautéing, and to finish it off, we'll mix in 2 tablespoons of butter at the end. Optional garnishes are half a cup grated Parmesan cheese and 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. Don't forget the basics: salt and black pepper to taste. Let's begin cooking. First, let's warm up our broth. We need 4 cups of vegetable or chicken broth, whichever you prefer. Pour it into a saucepan and keep it over low heat. Warming the broth ensures that when we add it to the rice later, it doesn't shock the cooking process or cool down the risotto. Keeping the broth warm throughout is really important because it helps the rice absorb the liquid more evenly. Just keep it on low, no need to rush. This will stay warm as we move through the recipe. Now we're going to sauté the mushrooms. Heat 1 tablespoon of olive oil in a large skillet over medium-high heat. Once the oil is hot, add your sliced mushrooms, about a pound of them. You want to cook these for 5 to 7 minutes, stirring occasionally until they release their moisture and become golden brown. Mushrooms contain a lot of water, so it's important to let that evaporate for a good texture. Sprinkle a bit of salt and black pepper over them to enhance the flavor. Once they're done, set them aside for later. Next, we'll sauté our onion and garlic in the same pan. Add 3 tablespoons of olive oil or butter, and once it's melted, toss in the chopped onion. Cook the onion for about 3 to 4 minutes until it's soft and translucent. Make sure to stir occasionally so it doesn't brown. After that, add your minced garlic, just 3 cloves, and cook for about a minute, just until it's fragrant. The onion and garlic together are going to create a great base of flavor for the risotto. Now we'll add the arborio rice to the onion and garlic. This step is really important. Add your 2 cups of rice into the pan and stir it around. We want to toast the rice for about 2 to 3 minutes. This helps the rice grains firm up a little on the outside, which will keep them from turning mushy later. You'll notice the rice turning slightly translucent around the edges while staying white in the center. Keep stirring to make sure every grain gets coated in the oil or butter. This toasting step is key for creating that perfect risotto texture. Now, if you're using white wine, this is the time to add it. Pour in 1 cup of dry white wine and stir it into the rice. You'll notice a bit of sizzling as the wine hits the hot pan. Let it cook for about 2 minutes, stirring occasionally until the wine is mostly absorbed by the rice. The wine adds a lovely depth of flavor and a slight acidity that balances the richness of the risotto. If you're skipping the wine, don't worry, just move on to the next step. Here's where patience comes in. Start adding your warm broth, 1 ladle at a time. Add just enough broth to cover the rice, then stir gently. You don't have to stir constantly, but make sure to stir frequently so the rice cooks evenly and doesn't stick to the bottom. Once the liquid is almost fully absorbed, add another ladle of broth. Repeat this process for about 18 to 20 minutes. The rice should be creamy but still al dente, meaning it's tender but with a slight bite. This gradual broth addition is what makes risotto creamy without needing cream. When the rice is nearly cooked and the last ladle of broth is mostly absorbed, it's time to bring back those sautéed mushrooms. Stir them into the risotto, making sure they're evenly distributed. The mushrooms add a fantastic earthy flavor that complements the creamy rice beautifully. This is also the time to taste the risotto and adjust the seasoning. Add more salt or pepper if needed. Let everything cook together for a minute or 2, just to meld the flavors. Finally, we're going to finish off the risotto by stirring in 2 tablespoons of butter. This adds extra richness and gives the risotto a velvety texture. If you want, you can also stir in some grated Parmesan cheese at this point, about half a cup, for added flavor and creaminess. Once the butter is fully melted and incorporated, turn off the heat. Serve the risotto in bowls, and for a fresh touch, sprinkle over some chopped parsley and more Parmesan if you like. And there you have it, delicious creamy mushroom risotto, ready to enjoy. Before we wrap up, let's go over some tips to ensure your mushroom risotto turns out perfectly. Always keep your broth warm. This helps the rice absorb it more smoothly and cook evenly. If the broth is cold, it slows down the process and makes the risotto gummy. Next, stir frequently but not constantly. You want to agitate the rice enough to release the starch, which gives risotto its creamy texture, but stirring too much can break the grains and make it too soft. Finding that balance is key. Also, be patient with the broth. Adding it gradually, one ladle at a time, allows the rice to slowly absorb the liquid and develop the perfect texture. Don't rush this step. It's what makes risotto creamy without needing any cream. When it comes to mushrooms, feel free to experiment with different varieties like shiitake or porcini for deeper flavors. Just make sure to cook out their moisture fully to avoid watery risotto. Finally, to get that smooth, velvety finish, always stir in a bit of butter at the end. It adds richness and helps bring all the flavors together. Enjoy your homemade mushroom risotto.